guys, my name is Courtney and welcome back to my channel, and this is the start of a secret TBR video. So last month I started a project where I decided to read everything one author had read. Mixed results as far as reading, but as far as like educational purposes, I think I learned a lot. I am doing that still, but I kind of threw that out because this month I had a different idea that I've been wanting to do for a couple months now, ever since I saw this video. So one of my favorite booktubers is Booksanlala. I found Kayla's channel through her Closet Unhaul series, which is where I think a lot of her followers came from, or a big chunk of people came from. It really taps into like my organizational side. I really love that series, and I love what she's done since with her channel. She makes some of the most creative and interesting videos on BookTube. She kind of started a trend for people to break out of their content as far as like mainstream BookTube. I'm sure other people have been breaking like the kind of mold of BookTube for a while, but like she's kind of the first person that on large that had done it, at least from my feed. And so yes, I love Kayla's channel. We have some similar tastes, which is where this video idea is coming from. So let me give like a little background on myself, because you know, you might be new to me. A little bit of background on Kayla's taste as well. Kayla really likes queer reads. She really likes contemporary, especially hard-hitting contemporary. She really likes like sad emotional books. She likes mysteries and thrillers. She's getting into horror and sci-fi now. And one of her favorite genres, which is where we overlap, is speculative fiction, weird genre bending fiction, fabulous fiction, surreal fiction, all of that kind of stuff. And for my own personal taste, I grew up on fantasy. I still really love fantasy. I like to read fantasy in like all the different age brackets. I'm starting to now get into more adult fantasy and sci-fi. That's kind of more where I'm leaning to with my interest in just like the books that I want to pick up right now. But I still really do like young adult literature, especially young adult contemporary, hard-hitting contemporary. I'm not so much like a sad book person. I definitely like more hopeful kind of toned books, but I do occasionally read the hard-hitting sad stuff. And then I also really like queer LGBT fiction, which tends to be in the young adult genre, or at least the stuff I'm interested in. So we have some differences. I don't read thrillers. I'm interested in horror, but I'm kind of scared of it, to be honest. While Kayla is getting into more sci-fi and adult, it's not her like main thing. She's not interested in series. She's not really into high fantasy and sci-fi. But again, we overlap with that queer, surreal, contemporary, weird stories. Not all of them are queer, but a lot of them are. I am a creative writer, and that is my genre as far as like what I write in my graduate literary classes. I kind of have like two writing minds. One of them is like my young adult fantasy sci-fi author mind, and then my other half is like my literary fiction but with a speculative twist. So that's kind of like my two realms that I like to live in as far as reading and personal writing taste. So Kayla makes these very specific recommendation videos. I find them so interesting, and I also like have a love for very like niche specific things, but it always seems like there's only one book in that specific niche weird thing. And for this video, it's a little more general. It's not like books that are about space that take place in space. Like, it's not like that. It's a little bit broader than some of her other categories. And so for this video, she was talking about weird books that are speculative fantasy, but they don't really fit into like one specific genre. You know, they might have horror aspects, but they aren't horror. They might have fabulous or surreal aspects, but they don't explain themselves. So what I loved about this recommendation list is that she had a lot of peripheral recommendations that didn't fit this specific category. She had like her 12 main things, and then she had like these other stacks that kind of fit in but couldn't quite make the cut kind of a thing. So I thought this was like a great video to like kind of react and read against, because there's so many options. Obviously I'm going to take the recommendations that she like specified, like the specific ones, but I can kind of read on the peripheral. And I think one of the reasons that I'm in particular drawn to these kind of speculative fantasy, weird genre bending fiction type things is that a lot of times they do tend to be very character focused, character driven. That is something that I personally really love in my fiction. I'm not a plot person, and so sometimes I do really like slower books where like nothing happens. And then another big thing for these kind of stories is the world. Like, I love that magical, speculative, not quite in the right genre thing. I like things that don't fit neatly into these boxes. I like things that are experimental and exploratory. So some of the books that I have read on her list, I think most of them are in the peripheral, but some of them that I've read are Away. I just read that. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. This Is How You Lose the Time War is my favorite book of the year so far. Just read that. Gave it 5 stars. A Million Junes. Emily Henry's first book is a little problematic, but I still really enjoyed it at the time. And A Million Junes I think is an even better book. Like, I loved that book. The Astonishing Color of After, that was one of her peripheral choices. I loved that as well. I didn't love the romance in that, but the rest of the book was like a full 5 stars. I loved it. And then the Every Every Heart a Doorway series. Again, Shauna McGuire, I love her stuff. I love it. A lot of the books on this list, like, I was already interested in. I'd either heard about it from her or somebody else. So for me, I was already interested in Saul Kilgirls, The Marrow Thieves, Middle Game, The Wicker King, The Undead Girl Gang, The Wise and the Wicked. This is like the perfect recommendation list for me because I'm already interested in so many of these books. It's obvious that our tastes really align, and so going to her 12 recommendations, what she's actually recommending in the video, there were a lot that I was interested in, and there were some that I was like unsure about. I'm not going to read the whole list, obviously. I am going to read the ones that I'm the most interested in, but we'll see. Maybe I'll end up liking everything so much that I'll end up reading more. But so far, the ones that I'm the most interested in that are on her like main list are Catherine's House. It's like gothic, it's weird, people hate it, sounds great. Another book I'm really interested in is Bunny. It like has like the dark academia vibes, and it's about like a girl cult-ish group where they all call each other Bunny, and it's like super weird, has horror elements to it. Then The Valley of Unfinished Girls I'm very interested in. She said it's queer, it's one of her favorite books, very underrated, so maybe I should read that. And then the other book that I kind of starred is Follow Me to the Ground, which is like a weird speculative people that have like flower powers. They're not people, they're aliens or something. I don't know. It was weird. I'm interested. And then some others on the list that interest me but are not like on the top of my list are In the House in the Dark Woods. I thought sounded interesting. And then I was interested in Blanca Roja. I read their previous novel Wild Beauty, and for me it was just like a little too poetic, a little too poetry heavy, and it was kind of a slog for me, even though I was like enjoying what was happening in the book. And so I wasn't interested in this book when it came up, but then Kayla talked about how it's not super poetic, that it's a little bit different than their other books. And then I was like, okay, I'm on board now. I'm very interested in this. And then the other book I was kind of interested in is You Must Not Miss. This is by Katrina Leno. I believe I've read one book by Katrina Leno, and then she just recently released a book. I loved the book that I read of hers, and I'm interested in the one that just came out, so I do want to read her backlisted book as well. There's 4 books I'm super interested in. There's 3 books that I'm potentially considering reading, and then there's like 6 more books that I'm interested in. We will see. I haven't gone to the bookstore, so. What am I trying to get out of this video? I don't necessarily want to prove that this like recommendation list works, because obviously it's not going to like work for everybody. Obviously Kayla and I's taste doesn't always align. I'm very much in this fantasy sci-fi series camp, and she has her thriller, mystery, horror thing that she likes. So obviously there is a difference already in our tastes, but I do think we align very closely when it comes to like queer, contemporary, the weird speculative stuff. I might like a little bit more literary stuff than she does, but for the most part we do overlap really nicely. And a lot of her favorite books are also my favorite books as far as like the speculative side goes. I love the Raven Boys, she loves the Raven Boys. I love This Is How You Lose the Time War, despite it being super poetic. It was very up my alley. I took a recommendation from her recently and read The Wait Among the Stars. Love that. A couple months ago I read The Last True Poets of the Sea, and I loved that as well. So there is an overlap, especially when it comes to weird, speculative, fantasy, fabulous, low magic kind of series, especially when they have queer characters involved. There's a lot of books that Kayla has recommended over the years that I want to read that I haven't read, and I think this is a good place to start. So I guess this video is more an experiment with seeing how closely my tastes align with somebody who I really trust their recommendations for in this specific genre, because I would say in the last couple years, BookTube is my main source of like knowing about books, what books I want to pick up. There's a lot of people I watch that I don't align with taste-wise, and sometimes if they like a book, I know I'm not going to like it. And I watch a lot of BookTube videos where people don't read what I like to read, and I personally find them really enjoyable. It introduces me to new stuff as well. Yes, this is a video as a way to get to books that I mean to get to, but with also testing like how much we trust the people that we really trust, how much recommendations really work. And obviously it's never gonna be a full 100% system. Like, I don't think I'm gonna like find the solution to like recommending books or finding people to recommend books to me, but it's kind of nice to test the boundaries of how closely do I actually align with Kayla's opinions when I think we align very closely in this one specific place. Not that I won't trust her less if I don't like these books. I think I will, you know, read more books and trust her recommendations forever, but it is kind of interesting to see where our tastes don't align and kind of like what aspects that she doesn't like in books that I don't care about. I have to go to the bookstore eventually, probably tomorrow, and see what I can find and see what I pick to read. So, weird angle, I know, just go with it. I just got back from the bookstore and it is really muggy outside, so I'm just like sweaty, and also like masks give me really bad acne, and I don't feel like sharing that with you right now. I share my bare face a lot on camera, and I normally don't really have qualms with it. Like I've accepted the fact that I have acne. I'm neutral towards it at this point. Don't try and give me remedies for it. Like, I have prescriptions and stuff. Like, I'm doing as much as I can. But anyway, I got back from the store. I went to Barnes & Noble, but I also went to a local indie bookstore near me to get some of the books as well. My indie bookstore is very small and doesn't have a very good selection. Their literary fiction area normally is well stocked versus their YA and children's, which is kind of abysmal. I'm gonna read it. I'm very excited for it. The books I bought at Barnes & Noble, I got Follow Me to the Ground by Sue Rainsford. Very intrigued by this. There's another book that I want to read that has a very similar cover to this with like flower people thing. I know I'm getting those books mixed up like in my head, so let's read one of them and find out what it is. And then I also got Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. Dark, gothic, slight academia vibes. Very, very excited for this. Hello, inserting a clip here. I didn't explain this well in my original vlog video, and I didn't really explain why this book like suddenly appears on my list and like why it's here, so I thought I would do that very quickly. So Kayla had recently read We Ride Upon Sticks in a vlog video, I believe, and I became very interested in it because it was about a college where they do field hockey and I think there's demons or witchcraft. She said it was a very weird book again, and so I instantly categorized it in my mind as something that should have been on the list, this weird recommendation list, if she had read this book before she made that list. But of course she did that vlog after this list came out, so it didn't end up being on the list. Makes sense. When that book came out, I just became very excited for it. I really wanted to read it. We Ride Upon Sticks sounds right up my alley. And so I put it on this reading vlog. In my brain, I was like, I think that if Kayla had made this video later, she would have included this book on there. As you will see, this reading vlog just gets away with me time-wise, and so I put that book on the list, intending to read it, and then I put it off the list so that I can finish the vlog in a timely manner. So that's why you see that book. That's why it's there. Sorry about this. Last book I got was this. So because they didn't have AWOD's book, I was just like staring at the A section looking for it, trying to see if I could see it. And I look down and I see this, Proud and Strong. They have like the cover facing out and everything, and I'm just like, this is fate. I have to buy it. I really want to buy it. I feel like it was meant to be on this list even though Kayla hadn't read it. I am going to read it, and this is Demon Witch Field Hockey. What more could I ask for? Yes, I'm very excited. I feel like there is like a kind of theme in these books. I would categorize all of these as literary fiction, but with a very strong genre twist. Of course, I haven't read them yet, so I can't technically classify them as literary fiction, but in my opinion, literary fiction, especially the stuff I like, which is becoming more popular right now, is skewing much more closely to genre, and it's becoming a little bit more accessible in like the language it uses, so I would consider these all adult literary fiction with genre twists. And then all of these have like some sort of speculative, surrealist, fabulous twist to them. 3 of the books take place at school. This one is high school, I believe. This one is high school, maybe college, and this one I know for sure is college. This one does not have a school tie, but I think it is interesting that these all kind of have similar theming and vibes to them, and I think they are all written by women. That's great, and I'm sure because some of these are queer that some of these are also queer women, which is great. And also I have some women of color. You know, we love the diversity. In my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, the people that are leading the speculative, fabulous genre at the moment, the people who are leading the sci-fi genre, the fantasy genre, sci-fi in particular, but fantasy, sci-fi overall, the people that are leading that are people of color, particularly Black women. So I'm really glad that there are some people of color, you know, in this selection on Books and Lala's list, because they really are leading this weird genre. So yeah, I'm going to get started. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to pick first. I will probably end up picking Bunny by Mona Awad or Follow Me to the Ground, just because they are the shorter books. And just like as far as schoolwork goes, you know, I do have to read for a literary journal this week because I didn't do it last week. And then I have my regular schoolwork, which is to read and do workshop letters for my workshop, as well as reading some other assignments like a short story and a craft talk. And then for my fiction story class, we read short story collections every week, and for this week we are reading What It Means When a Man Falls from the Sky by Leslie Nika Arima, and this is a speculative, genre-bending literary fiction short story collection. I've read one of the stories in here before and I reread it last week. If the rest of the collection is as good as that story, I'm very excited for the rest of the collection. So I feel like this book, this story collection, definitely fits into the weird speculative genre books. It's kind of cool to see that the project I'm doing, is reflecting what I'm reading in class at this exact moment. In general, in my grad program over the years, we've read some speculative stuff. It is becoming a more popular genre, but this is like the first time that I'm doing like a whole unit like dedicated to 3 specific genre fiction authors. I'm excited for this project because these are all books that I want to read, that I've been interested in, that I think are gonna push me craft-wise, reading-wise, and also just like testing, again, the recommendations of other people that you trust and seeing where your tastes align and where they don't. I think it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I eventually have to get ready for class tonight, and maybe I'll start reading. Probably I'll just end up, being on TikTok, but it's fine. And yeah, let's get to reading. It's the next day, it's night already. I kind of just had a lazy day. Wednesday's my lazy day. Because of my night classes, I end up staying super late. It's really hard to go to bed when you end class at 10. Like, I feel like I have to, have a snack, have a drink, watch something, relax, calm down, do work. And my sleep schedule is already effed up from the election, so like, it's just been a nightmare right now. So I just took today off, just like lounged around, but I went onto my library website and they have this as an audiobook. So this is what I'm gonna start. A very short audiobook. It's only a couple hours. I think like 4 hours-ish. I also just went out and bought some ice cream. I'm going to start this and I'm going to read along with my audiobook, munch on some ice cream. But yeah, I'm gonna get started with this. So it's 11 and I've read only like 40 pages of the book so far. I've just been like scrolling, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I do have to really read it with the audiobook because it is very lyrically written and there's like some weird batshit stuff going on, so like I have to pay attention to like understand everything, which is fine. I'm really enjoying it. I have to wake up at 7 tomorrow to register for my final semester of grad school, which is like, why does it start at 7? There's only like, I don't know, 60 kids that have to register tomorrow, maybe that many. Anyway, I'm going to put this down and then wake up too early. Since I'm doing homework, I thought I'd give you a little bit of my setup. So like I said, I'm in grad school. I personally don't think the workload is very hard. Tuesday is the day when I normally start doing like the supplemental readings, and then I'll do the workshop a little bit later, closer to when we have class. So today I have to read a short craft piece and then a short story. So right now I am reading the craft piece, which is right here, which I downloaded, and then I have my notes right here and I'll write down some notes just so that I remember the reading. And then I also like to have background music. I personally prefer like the lo-fi kind of stuff or like the ambiance room kind of stuff. This is my favorite track. I use this when I'm writing. This is the Persona 5 Beneath the Mask, but it's like the 10-hour version. I've been using this since college, since my roommate was playing Persona 5, and I just kind of fell in love with the soundtrack. And just like video game music, ambiance music, all of that just like is really great for paying attention, staying active while you're working. Yeah, that's my setup, and I'm gonna get to work so that I can do the reading because the book is over there. It's dark as hell. Time to read. So I'm taking a little break. I'm almost done with this. I think I have like 20-30 pages left. I'm also preheating the oven to make chocolate chip cookies, so that's gonna be great. I got like the scoop tub thing so that I can just like make them whenever I want. That's gonna be nice. But anyway, the book. It's fucking weird, man. Like, I know this was like the whole point of the recommendation list, that it was gonna be weird. I just wasn't expecting it weird and strange in this way, I guess. I would call it horror, not because it's scary, but like it does have like the suspense, body horror, creepy things going on. I personally don't think things have to be like scary or jump scary to be horror. And so for me, this definitely feels like literary genre horror, fabulous horror. These weird people like fix people, and they like open them up from the inside, fix their bodies. So there's like all the body organs, and like there's lots of imagery around like menopause, periods, childbirth. So there's like a lot of that kind of fluid in there. Ada, the main character, is like a very unreliable narrator in my opinion, because like the way that she's looking at the people like is not in a super favorable light, and I don't think we're supposed to necessarily agree with the way that she's thinking about others. And I think this book is like a really big look at like how we look at people's body, kind of how we view bodies that have like physical damage to them. That's my cookies, I have to go put it in. How we look at bodies that need to be fixed or treated, bodies that can't be fixed or treated. And I think my estimation of that kind of plot point, it has a lot of those themes, but it also seems to have themes of like being other, being alien in a society, sexuality and loneliness, kind of the meshing between horror and like the sensual. There's also kind of a big incest plotline, which I wasn't expecting, not the main character. How that fits into the mythos and how that kind of mirrors some of the mythology is like really interesting. The idea of like consumption and consumption of bodies is in here too. It's a lot. It's very weird. I'm not sure if it's working all the way, because sometimes I get a little bit lost in the sentences, not totally lost. I think this is like a really good novel and some of the language is so beautiful, but like there are moments where I'm just like, maybe this could have been fleshed out a little bit more so it's a little bit more understandable. It's unlike anything I've ever read before. I personally don't think I write horror, but a lot of people have told me my fabulism has horror elements to it, and I kind of refuse to read traditional horror because it's just not my cup of tea. But like something like this is very much up my alley, so it's kind of fun to explore something that is like sort of what I would do. Not what I was expecting, but I'm loving the surprises. Also, Ada seems to have a little bit of fat phobia and queer phobia, and again, I think it is part of her character, just like not understanding the world around her, and like her viewing it is not necessarily like reliable. Yeah, I just need like a quick brain break so that I can absorb the last chunk of this novel, which is going to be the big climax. So yeah, very exciting. I have to wait a couple minutes for them to cool down, but they look really good. This one actually has an Oreo inside of it, so we'll see if it works. I'm really excited to eat these. So I just finished Follow Me to Ground. I don't know how to feel about it. All the themes that I was talking about earlier apply, but like the ending of the story feels like it's really trying to say something about like corruption, power, family. It feels very Faulkner while being very fabulous. It was really fucking weird, and like I loved the weirdness of it, but like I'm not sure I loved the story. I feel like it's saying all these things, but like I don't know if I got everything. It was really weird, but I'm trying to figure out like if it said anything. The character does go through a journey. She does change. She does like gain power, but like she doesn't really get like enlightened. So yeah, I feel like I learned a lot from this book. This was like an experience. Like this was weird. I feel like it would be really great for cinema. Like it could be really cinematic and beautiful and just like bizarre. I don't know if the character and the plot were all the way there. Feeling conflicted, and it's like, do I actually like things that are super weird? And it's just like, yes, Courtney, you do. You write really weird shit, and everybody in your class is just like, what the fuck, Courtney? Why did you write this weird thing? I know I like weird stuff. I need to process it. This book was a lot. The rest of the night, gonna sleep, relax. Tomorrow, maybe start a new book, but I also have to do homework, so that's the plan. First book of this project done. Did Lala do a good recommendation for this? Yes. It's super bizarre. It's super weird. I'm gonna think about this tonight, and then I'm gonna rate it and review it and all of that. I woke up super late today. It's been like rainy all morning, which I love. And so now it's like 3 o'clock and it's just like super dark and stormy still. It's a fall mood. I love it. I guess I do have to get up and like shower and do stuff now. The next book I'll be getting to is probably Bunny, but I'm also going to be reading this for class. And I've read 2 of the stories in here already, and I love them. I love this book. It's really good. Excited to read this. Hi guys, it is 5 o'clock on Tuesday the 17th, and I haven't checked in for a while because I haven't really been reading, just been focusing on school and all of that. Whenever I get the chance, I read like a couple pages of Bunny. So I've only been reading like 10 pages here or there, 3 pages whenever I can. Now I'm on page 56. It's very insular, very slow paced, and I'm loving it, but like nothing really has happened yet. It has like spooky horror vibes to it for sure. Like it definitely has like this creeping tension to it. It's weird, but nothing super weird has happened yet. Bunny is a weird book. I don't know how to explain it. This girl going to a university, there's tensions like with economic class on and off the university campus. In her writing group, there is a group of girls who all call each other Bunny, and they all kind of have like these weird habits and stuff, and they all act really weird. She went to like her first meeting with the bunnies where she's like actually been accepted into the group. Somebody has called her Bunny. She might start to become a bunny. Honestly, it really gives me like a horror version of Mean Girls. Like that's kind of what I'm getting from it. I'm kind of loving it. It comes off as very sensual and sapphic while also keeping like this dark horror vibe to it, and I really like the combination of like the erotic with the horror. Find it really relatable, like being an outsider in like a clique, especially in like the grad world. Like it's so dumb, but like grad students, they act like middle schoolers sometimes. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, they always have to like one up each other. They have like these insular little groups and they act super weird. Obviously it's very far placed from reality, but it has like a sense of realness to it of what it's like to actually be in a grad program. This is really fascinating to me specifically. I've rambled because this book is weird. It's hard to explain. I can see why it was recommended and I want to keep reading, so that's what I'm gonna do. I have class tonight. Can't read that much. Tomorrow I'm gonna work on a video. I'm gonna read. Gonna be good times. So I've had a pretty productive day. I've done some homework, edited a video. It is on its way to be published right now for tomorrow. So I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea and read Bunny. 70 pages through it, so I got a good chunk done. Time to really read this, get into it, get into the weirdness. I'm ready. So it's 1 o'clock, so I think I'm gonna stop reading for tonight. In all honesty, I probably haven't read in like an hour, but I read a good chunk of the book. I'm 140 pages in now, so I'm about halfway through the book now. It's weird because the book seems like it's coming so fast. Like I feel like I'm reading quickly, but at the same time, I feel like if I don't pay attention, I miss things. A lot is going on. This book is fucking weird. It is so weird. So many little moments resonate with me, and I'm just like, I really like it. I really like it. If you're one of those people that's a skeptical reader, skeptical to like believability, if you can't like kind of just like accept and go along for the ride, this book is probably not for you. Yeah, I'm gonna stop for tonight though and hopefully read some more tomorrow. So I've been starting to think that this vlog is like a flop, like I just suck at making vlogs. And on top of all that, it's the week before Thanksgiving break because our semester goes the whole length that it normally does, but we go home before Thanksgiving and like stay at home and do all online from then on. I've been pretty much all online anyway, but like I'm going home and I'm gonna be there for like a month and a half. It's been stressful because I need to get work done before I go home. Not all of it, but like a lot of it because, you know, holidays, family, all of that. And so because of that, I haven't been reading. Also, like COVID, I don't do anything. I don't have friends here, so I don't hang out with anybody. So like all I do is like do my homework and like do laundry sometimes, go to the grocery store, like that's it pretty much. So there's like nothing to show you fun. I did get takeout today. I barely ever get takeout. I think I've only gotten takeout like 3 or 4 times this semester. It's just like not something I do. I normally just cook, especially with COVID. It's just better to cook from home. But I treated myself and I got shoyu ramen, the best ramen in this area. It is so good and I'm so excited. So what's really cool about the takeout things is that the whole top thing comes off like this, and then the broth is underneath, so none of your rice and everything, nothing gets all gross, and then you just dump that in here and it's great. Go in. That looks amazing. I can't wait. Tomorrow I'm flying back home, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of that jazz. And so today I have the great job of what I do every semester, sending the big pile of books back home because I don't have room for them on my tiny ass shelves. So if you live in the US, there is this thing called Book Rate, but you can use it to mail textbooks, books. I don't know if you can use it for other things, but Book Rate, I use it for books because otherwise normally my packages would be about $70, but they normally end up about $13, $14. and they come in about 2 weeks. So these are all the ones that I've read, and these are the ones I haven't read but hope to read, will read in the next couple months. And then the other books I have here, so this is what I'm bringing with me in my bag. So I have my current read for class that I'm doing a presentation on. I have a comic book which I was supposed to read like a month and a half ago, and then I have the 2 other books that I'm reading for this vlog. So I will put these books all in a cart, in my grocery cart that I take to the grocery store, take them down to the post office, put them in one of their boxes, tape it all up, send it at book rate. It's great. I'm home and I'm watching Lala's videos about reading the horror Goodreads awards, and I realized that while I just filmed my wrap up, I haven't talked about Bunny since I finished it. You know, with just like all the travel and trying to get home at the end of the semester, all of that, I just like didn't have time or energy. Literally, I'm going into my final week of classes on Zoom, obviously, and it's just like a little crazy right now. Let's talk about Bunny because I did end up finishing it during Thanksgiving weekend. I do want to discuss, because this vlog, it got away with me just with like school and travel. This was not a good idea, and I've just been like having a really hard time with reading just because of my schedule and because I'm, you know, doing homework and that reading. But like I said, I did end up finishing Bunny. I give this a 3.75 stars, so I did enjoy it a little bit more than Follow Me to the Ground. What is this book? What is this? It's weird. I don't know. It has a weird vibe. It has like speculative, fabulous, horror, but also like satirical undertones. It is a ride and a half. Just a lot happens. Did it work? Did it not? I don't know. It was so weird. I feel like the book tried to talk about so many different things, about like cliques in grad programs, about femininity, about like class issues. Like there was so much in this book that it touched upon but didn't quite say anything meaningful about. I don't know, but like this book captured something. It captured my feelings so distinctly about what it's like to be in a grad program, especially when you like don't really get along with your peers, when you don't really fit in. I don't want to spoil it too much, but Samantha, she makes another character. She like makes a person. All the bunnies make people at some point. That's kind of spoilery, I'm sorry, but it's kind of revealed that she created a different character, and then I had my mind like, oh my god, did she create all the bunnies? Are all the bunnies her imagination? Are all of these like versions of her self-loathing and self-hate about being in a grad program? I'm kind of mad that it didn't go in that crazy direction, but there was just so much that like didn't work through this book. A lot of this book was really a slog to get through. The vibes of this book, what it was able to capture, it was able to capture so many emotions and feelings that I have felt, while also making fun of that person that like kind of pities themselves and is kind of like alone. Like it got me good. Like the way it's able to play with the like I'm not like other girls trope, but also like poking fun at like, you know, the cliquey popular girls. I think that was like my biggest like critique and issue in my Goodreads review, was that I don't know how well it handled that, because it kind of seemed to be siding with like the I'm not like other girls, and I kind of wish that Samantha was kind of a little bit more made fun of. But in a lot of ways it was very satirical towards her, especially with like the replicated people. It did seem to understand that these were like idealized, romanticized versions of people, and at the end of the day it's making me spiral. It's making me think so many different things. It was so weird and so unique. For that alone it gets like the 3.75 stars. I think I'm going to hold this book in a special place in my heart. I do think I'm going to love it for a really long time to come. Love it for its imperfections. I didn't love it, but like I'm really glad I read it, and I will update you when I've started a new book. So it is December 8th. The month is slipping by so quickly. This is my last week of classes. I have my last class today at 3 o'clock, which is very exciting. And then after this class, the only thing I have to do is work on a final paper short story that is due on the 16th, which I have to rewrite completely, so that'll be fun. But anyway, I am reading Catherine House. It's actually really funny because I was watching a wrap-up for Marinez, and she had just read Catherine's House and really enjoyed it, really loved it, and was talking about it and kind of the context around it. And so I'm I'm really interested in looking up author interviews and seeing what she has to say about the novel, and so I'm very interested hearing more about that because I can kind of already see that context in the novel, and I'm just like very interested in her, you know, what she has to say in interviews. But yeah, I'm a third of the way through this, so I'm a little over 100 pages. Yes, this is a very dark, atmospheric, gothic novel. I thought it would be more descriptive, more of the scenery and stuff, but it's not, and I get why people don't like this, that it's very plotless and the main character is very apathetic. I personally think a lot is going on, and I'm very interested in exploring more of our character internally because she does seem to be going through some stuff. This is a weird novel and I'm really enjoying it. I'm just hoping it gets weirder and darker because the first two books that I read for this were just so bizarre and so dark. While I might be loving this the most out of all three books that I've read so far, yeah, this definitely hasn't brought that weirdness that I was kind of expecting yet. So if you don't know, Catherine House takes place at a college slash kind of boarding school setting. The house that they live in is very creepy. They can't see their friends or family for 3 years. They're just like stuck in this house in this dark woods area, and there's a lot of mystery and intrigue surrounding the house, surrounding this school, and our main character is running away from something and has ended up at Catherine House. I don't want to give too many details away because it is kind of a thing that you want to explore when you read it, but so far I'm really enjoying this one. And yeah, so now I'm just gonna read, get ready for my day, go to my class, read some more hopefully, and just kind of enjoy everything. Talking because I have a face on and I look nice for once because I never get dressed. I am more than halfway through it now. I think I've given a pretty good description of it, and the more I read it, you know, I'm not expecting some weird crazy thing to happen like Bunny. I don't think that's what this book is, but I can see more and more why it's on this list. It's definitely for a very specific type of reader, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it, things not getting explained, it being slower. I like sort of agree with those comments, like I get where they're coming from. Me reading it, like I'm not bored. This book almost has like a very dreamlike quality to it, and the structure is a lot more loose, and so I feel like it can feel plotless or slow paced because of the more loose vignette-y style of it. You're just kind of reading events that are happening to this girl, but I don't feel lost while reading it, if that makes sense. The story wanders, but I don't think the internal feeling or the internal dialogue of the story wanders, if that makes sense. You're kind of lost with the main character, but the story itself isn't lost. I think why it's on this list is because it's so not strange in its things that happen, but because it's so hard to like talk about, it's so hard to like pick out what kind of reader is actually going to like this kind of a novel. And this is a debut for this author, which makes me even more excited because I know she's going to write even better, different books in the future, and I'm really excited to read what else she has. I can confirm this is a weird book, but weird in a different way from the first two books that I read. Good morning, it is the 10th of December. I just feel so smart right now because I figured out, I just took a step back and was like thinking about this vlog. I think we can all tell this vlog has been going on for too long. It's too spread out. It's gonna go on for like 2 months of me reading 4 books, which is fine, but it's just not the vlog I wanted to do, especially because I have other projects in the works that I want to do soon. And I'm like, wait, Courtney, you don't have to read all the books. 3 is fine. 3 is perfect for a vlog. So I'm just like, why am I forcing myself to read all 4 books? So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish up Catherine House, and then we are going to talk and finish up this vlog. We Ride Upon Sticks was not actually included in the recommendation list. It was a book I snuck on because I was very interested in it. I'm still really excited for it. I do really want to read it, but I don't have to read it at this second. I came upon this revelation when I was thinking about, wait, why am I actually doing this vlog? It's to try out a booktube recommendation list that seems pretty tailored to my taste. It's to read books that I've been interested in but haven't gotten to expose myself to fiction that I think I'm in like the same wheelhouse as a writer as. I'm very sad I'm not reading We Ride Upon Sticks for this vlog, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to read it. For Catherine House, I'm on 240 of like 308-ish pages, so I only have 70 pages of this book left, and I'm still really loving it. It's hitting really well. I was reading an interview that the author had done online, and I just really liked what she had to say. I don't think this book is going to end up being a 5-star for me, but in the interview she talks about her love for like gothic fiction and kind of the experience of going to a college, and especially because colleges nowadays really cater to like quality of life kind of thing. And she also talks about the idea of like falling in love with a house. Like that's what the novel's about, is the narrator falling in love with this house and falling in love with with a certain time in her life. And I feel like I really understand that. It's just like, the more I think back on my college experience going to Syracuse and my undergrad experience, especially comparatively to my MFA experience, I've like kind of fallen in love with that time period. I've fallen in love with my school a little bit more, but I also know that I didn't always have the best time there. Some of Syracuse in particular, but some of just like college institutions at large is just like so toxic, weird, and like need to be systematically fixed. Colleges are so about quality of life, providing quality of life for their students, and yet, especially for their minority students, especially their BIPOC students, they just really drop the ball on kind of quality of life. When I was at Syracuse my senior year, a big thing was the engineering university getting in trouble for accidentally letting out a video about initiation stuff where they had basically said a bunch of slurs, mostly aimed at Black people, but also aimed at pretty much every other minority. They really ticked the boxes on that. They got suspended, but the school didn't really do anything. We had protests on campus, we had like discussions, and it just seemed like the discussions never really went to any real change. I know just from like listening to people that a lot of Black people on Syracuse campus just felt really isolated on campus. It's just very interesting to like talk about systems of oppression, systems that don't work and that are harmful, but also talk about how you kind of fall in love with those things anyway in certain ways. This book is very, very fascinating to me. Yes, it's a slow kind of build. It's a slow reveal of kind of like what's going on at Catherine House, and I'm not sure if everything will be fully explained, but I'm just kind of enjoying it anyway. I'm gonna finish this last 70 pages and then we will wrap up this vlog. Okay, so I've finally finished Catherine House, which means now, because I took We Write Upon Sticks off the TBR, I've finished the challenge. Yay! It shouldn't have taken this long. I'm a fast reader, but something about being under pressure just makes it really hard to stay on track. I don't know what it is. I mean, I do know what it is. It was school. This was not the right time to make this video, but it's fine. I did it. I read 3 weird books off of Lala's recommendation list, and honestly, I feel like they've all changed me for the better in some way. Even if they're not my new favorite book, like I feel like they've dramatically changed me. When I was reading Catherine House, I wrote down this. These 3 novels are almost less about the storytelling and more about the feeling they are trying to give off and surround you in. Yes, they're weird, they're trying to be off-putting, but like that's not all of it. All 3 of these books, it was like, I don't want to even say atmospheric, but it was just like something about surrounding you and like changing you. I feel like these 3 books are so memorable. I don't know, like these were just weird books. I like don't know how to talk about them and how they changed me, but they like did, which doesn't happen with every book you read, which it doesn't need to. But this is like one of the reasons why I like speculative fantasy, fabulism, just like weird books, is because I feel like they're memorable. But yeah, let's kind of discuss these since I've, you know, finished Catherine House and kind of had enough time to take a step back and think about these 2. So I finished Catherine House, kind of has this weird melancholic ending. There are themes and stuff that the author is trying to say about, you know, what I've talked about previously in the vlog, which is about like these institutions of education. There is so much that I do relate to and can like see and visualize. This book wasn't trying to like say this big old message. It was just like about this like weird atmospheric house that this author had created. And I think because it wasn't so ham-fisted into a theme, it just kind of gave you like this atmospheric experience that kind of changes you in a way as you kind of fall into the gothic world of this house. And so I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more social commentary with this weirdness. I want people that should be reading this book to find it because I think it's going to be very impactful for them. But definitely Catherine House was the less weird of the 3. I enjoyed it. I really liked that one. Going back to the first book I read, Follow Me to the Ground, this one is sticking less in my mind. I remember like the experience of reading this. I remember liking the prose and the lyricism, especially surrounding like the plants and the main character creatures, but kind of some of the plot points have already disappeared in my mind since I've been doing this video. The reason why I gave this like a 3 stars, 3.5 stars is because I wanted it to say more, and I think it's saying more, but I'm not sure what it's saying. I tentatively liked this. It's very weird, it fits the prompt, and I'm glad I read it. And then finally, of course, Bunny, the weirdest out of the bunch, probably the weirdest book I will ever read in my entire lifetime. It's weird, it doesn't make sense, it's saying things, but it's also not saying things. I don't know, this book, kind of a mess, at least writing plot structure wise, kind of a mess. I know it's not really trying to fit into conventions of writing, but at the same time, I connected to this book in so many ways. It was so relatable to my own personal experiences at this like exact moment that it just hit me at the right time. I just read this book at the exact right time, and that's why I ended up giving it like a 3.5, 3.75 out of 5 stars. It hit different different. Bunny hits different, okay? Again, it changed me in some way and it's memorable. That's what I have to say about this. Like, obviously I didn't find my new favorite book. I don't think that's a bad thing, but like all three of these books, they changed me in some way. I'm gonna remember these books for a long time to come, or at least remember like the feelings they gave me. Let's kind of think back and like look at this challenge. What were my goals? What was I trying to get out of this? I don't really remember. Do I know my reading taste as much as I think I do? Yes. I guess I do like the more literary speculative fiction. I like it when it's a little bit more of a social commentary. Was this the right recommendation list for me? Yes, I'm planning on reading other books off of that list. This specific niche thing, it does align with Kayla from Books and Lala. And I feel like I do understand. I know what I do like. Obviously, not every book I pick up ends up being what I want it to be, or ends up being as good as I want it to be, or whatever, but I think for the most part, I know when certain people are recommending things to me. I know what I'm getting into at least, and I know what I'm looking for when I pick up these books. All three of these books left me in a place where I'm just like, I don't know how to talk about them. I don't know like what I learned from them, if I learned anything from this experiment. I think I learned that I do like weird books, maybe not in the way I thought I did, but I do like them. How do I finish this vlog out? What do I say? This was a good experience. Not the right time in my life because I was busy, but I do think it was a good time in my life to be reading these because like honestly, like I was writing a bunch during this time, doing videos. I felt more creative than I have in a very long time with a lot of stuff, and it just like worked out really, really well for me, even though I was like a little bit too busy to be doing this project. And also it's got me so excited to read more stuff, both weird and non-weird, but I'm excited for more stuff. And I feel so refreshed now going into the end of the year. I'm excited to finish out the year and to get into 2021. Weird books, they're for me. I would pick up all three of these authors again. I want to see more of what they've written. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad. If you've gotten to the end of this video, if you've watched this whole experience, thank you for staying with me as I, can't vlog and spiral. I'm sure it was a time, so thank you for sticking with me and watching and listening to my thoughts. Let me know if you picked up any of these books, what you thought of them, if they were too weird for you, if you have any other weird recommendations for me. Let me know, because honestly, I'm ready for more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later, and happy reading.